fuck with you when you're like sleeping over in like a weird parking lot? Like, what's the weirdest thing that's happened to you?
So I sleep in like weird places, you know, like I'll sleep like in Walmart parking lots, Kohl's parking lots, Bass Pro Shops, rest areas, truck stops. Like I'm a big fan of Pilot truck stops,
Hell yeah.
you know, especially now because like Walmarts and places like that are closed at night now. They're not 24 hours anymore.
Yeah.
So if I have to take a shit,
Oh yeah.
so my
That's
current
the
van
place to
does
go.
not have a bathroom. Yeah.
They got showers, everything.
Yeah, well, and I shower. I got my Planet Fitness membership, so I normally I'll shower at the gym. You know.
Are they 24 hours Planet Fitness?
No.
Okay.
Not currently. So most like during normal everything they were.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so shower at the Planet Fitness or a truck stop because truck stops are 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But like I had outside of Austin, it was like Rock Ridge, Texas. So it was like a suburb of Austin. And I pulled into a Walmart parking lot there because I'd looked up like Austin, like camping, you know, all that kind of stuff beforehand. It was like, yeah, Austin like allows like overnight camping at all of their Walmarts. But like I'd been there maybe an hour and I was just getting settled in and like I get a knock on the window and it's a police car. And they're like, hey, yeah, like this is Rock Ridge. Rock Ridge doesn't allow overnight camping.
Fuck.
But yeah, but they were cool about it. Like they gave me like a couple. They're like, there's a place like over, there's a Bass Pro Shops like 2 exits south, you know, and that's over that line, so you can sleep there. And I was like, okay, cool, you know. But then I found like another spot like the next night in Austin. It was like behind a gas station that was abandoned. I just from the road, like I was going by and I just saw a bunch of like dirt roads going up these hills, and I was like, I wonder what's up there. And it's just a bunch of like cleared land or like land next to like a big like water reservoir like system. And so there were a bunch of like dirt roads through there and a bunch of camping spots where like people would camp. And I was like, this is perfect. I just pulled into one of the clearings there and I stayed there the next 2 nights. You know, and it was far enough like away from like the roads and up on this hill where like nobody could see me. The sound didn't bother me. I was basically by myself. I ran like my generator with the big AC, all that kind of stuff. Like it was great.
That's amazing.
And then I was at a truck stop in Maryland, and I had somebody. Okay, I was at a truck stop in Maryland, and I was like in the van, and I would like watch TV, like Netflix and stuff on my iPad. So I was like watching something on my iPad, and I kept hearing this noise, and I was like, "Is that part of the show?" And then I pause it, and I was like, "Okay, it's not part of the show because I can still hear the noise," and it's like this like.
That's
noise.
weird.
Yeah, and I was like, what is that? You know? And so I have those, like I said, I have those insulator panels up over my windows.
Yeah.
Right? So I like undo the Velcro and like pull down the thing to like look outside the van and see where the noise is. And there's a truck stop prostitute sucking dick 2.5 feet away from my window.
That's great.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just a trucker leaned up against his rig, just getting his.
And they were that close. They were parked literally right next to you.
Yeah, right next to me.
Didn't even bother to get into the camper, into the fucking truck or anything.
Nope.
Just right outside.
Yep, just because of the way like the parking lot was turned, like there were like I was on the like the back side of that parking lot. There's like a wooded area back there, and then there was like 17 trucks between them and like the rest of the, you know, so nobody could see them back there. And they must have assumed like I was inside at like the diner or something.
Right.
Or they were like, they could hear the iPad. And so they're like, oh, he's not going to notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Or he's just a trucker and he just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah. So there was that.
Just another lot lizard.
Yeah. And then here in Tampa, I was in a CVS parking lot. Because so typically when I stop for the night, like wherever I'm gonna, like wherever parking lot or wherever I end up, I'll get out when I first get there, and I like on my Apple Watch, I'll basically just get away from the van so it doesn't fuck with my compass, and I'll make sure like I get exact east so I know where the sun's coming up from, so that way I can find like a spot that's gonna have the most shade throughout the day. You know, so I'm like, you know, I'll get under these trees because the sun's coming up from over here, so these trees will block me during noon, and that tree over there will like block me from the sunrise.
Wow,
you know,
you're like a real hunter-gatherer.
Little bit, yeah, real frontiersman. So I had done all that. I was under these trees in the CVS parking lot because it was next to a Walmart, and I just happened to see it, and I was like, this looks like the best spot based on sunrise, all that kind of stuff. So I get parked, I get in the back of the van, and I had just done, that was the same night as the Ron White shows. So, because I had just drove back to Tampa after the second show because I had a show here the next night. So that's like a 2.5-hour drive. So I was so amped up. I was like, I'm not going to sleep in the next 3 hours anyway. So I hauled ass back to Tampa. So, but I get there, I get settled into the van, and I go back and like start watching my recording from my first set, right? Mm-hmm. And like, it was like 3 minutes in, I get like a big applause break. And I was so giddy and happy and stoned that I was like talking out loud to myself, right? And so I'm literally like watching my video on my phone and I'm giggling out loud like a maniac. And like I'm listening to it in my Bluetooth headset. So like I'm the only one that can hear the video, right? And so I yell out loud. I'm like, I'm a murderer, right? Talking about the video, right? And then I just hear from the ear that doesn't have an earbud in from outside of the van, I hear, me too, bro. And I panicked, and there was like a homeless guy like who had just been going by that saw the van, was just like, and then he just heard me yell, "I'm a murderer," and he's like, "Me too. Do you want to do this?" Like I guess he thought I was threatening him or something. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, he was just checking out my van. He's like, "This is the coolest homeless setup I've ever seen." Like just admiring my lawn basically as a homeless person. You know.
Did you invite him in?
No. I just heard basically like I was talking about my video. I was like, he's not watching a video.
He's serious.
You know? Yeah, he's serious. So I was like, seriously, man, like I'm armed.
I'm sure you guys would have had a great combo.
Probably. I've had conversations with other homeless dudes like all the time. Like, so that's the weird part about living in the van, right? Like I joke around about it, but I am technically homeless. You know, well, right. I'm houseless. Like I have shelter and an engine, and that's basically it. You know, but it's weird. Like other homeless people will still ask me for money. Right. So like I was doing, I went to an open mic in Orlando, that's right downtown, and it's right, it's like 1 block over from the Amway Center. So when there's not Amway events, we can park on that, like on that street for the open mic. So I was parked, and I was early because I was coming into town from somewhere else. So I was just early. So I had it was like, I don't know, like January, February. So it was like nice and cool outside. So I'd parked, I had the windows rolled down, and I was just sitting there like with my notebook, just like scribbling notes and writing out ideas. And this homeless guy comes up, he's like, "Hey man," like, you know, starts talking to me. He's like, "Hey, like, do you have like you get like some money or something, like, you know, like I'm homeless." And I was like over my shoulder, I was like, "Bro, you can see where I sleep. Like I'm also homeless. Do you have some money?"
That's funny, man.
Yeah, I was like, just assume if you can see where someone sleeps from the door of their home, they don't have money for you.
Yeah.
That's cool, though, with the van and interacting with all those weirdos on the road. That probably gives you way more material, you know what I mean? Way more interactions with weirdos.
Oh, yeah.
Way more opportunities for material.
Well, and that's the thing, like, being out on the road, not just being out on the road, but, like, being at mics, being with other comedians, like, again, it's like that socialization that I didn't have for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I'm getting those skills back, and also it's like people I can talk to about pretty much anything, because we all have this one thing in common. So even if I'm talking, like going off on a tangent on something else, you know, like everyone understands it's in the frame of comedy. So somebody's like, "Hey, do that as a bit. That was a good bit." You know, even if it's something like, you know, they disagree with intellectually or like, you know, things like that. But yeah, man, just like being able to be around like creative people again and getting that socialization of like being out on the road and like realizing like, oh, I have that skill back of being able to talk to people again. So now like in gas stations, like I'll, you know, talking to the cashier and I'm like, oh, I'm doing that again. I'm talking to strangers again, that kind of thing. So like doing comedy has helped me rebuild those skills that I had lost, because people don't realize like autism can be regressive. Normally people are like, oh, like when you get diagnosed, they're like, oh, this is what you're diagnosed with. This is how you are. Like, this is how it'll always be. Yeah. But it can get better or worse. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and people, that's just not something people normally think about. Like, and I realized I had regressed a lot in those like years where I had started becoming more hermity, you know?
Yeah.